welcome back to another episode of NFT Artist Spotlight, hosted by AstroZero. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.
Today on AstroZero Twitter Spaces, we have a special guest who's a photographer and a digital artist, and most importantly, a part of our Polygon family. It's Cynthia Steenkamp. So welcome, Cynthia. Thanks for coming out. I know you're in the UK, so we kind of had to switch this over to a weekend. So thank you for taking time out of your day and coming and talking to us.
No, my pleasure. I've been listening to your, I always listen to them after they've been live because of the time difference, but I've been listening to quite a few of your spaces over time since I joined. Actually, when did you start these? I can't remember when I started. I think I only started listening to them in early January.
September 1st was my first one ever, but we used to do them on Telegram, and we had switched them over, I guess, sometime in October to Twitter, but they weren't on this account because I didn't have Twitter Space accessibility until I don't know, maybe November time. So we were rotating between a couple different profiles, and that was before they were recordable too. So we've done some, but they're just lost forever, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I find it so weird that like people listen to my Twitter spaces after I do the Twitter space. I just think like as soon as I do them, it's like they're gone forever. But that's really kind of cool that you listen to them afterwards. I feel kind of I feel embarrassed now.
Oh, don't be silly. It's great because I really appreciate the recordings, and especially since you've been DMing me them. So I catch up on them every morning with my breakfast. So it's the perfect day for me to start my day.
Oh my god. Now I'm really embarrassed.
Oh, no, don't be.
This is the first voice you hear in the morning. Jeez. God bless you.
Twitter and tea.
So prior to creating NFTs, did you do art in like your personal life before you jumped into the NFT space?
Yes. So since I was about 6, I've been in various art classes because my parents have always been very encouraging of my creative side. I've always drawn. I've always wanted to take pictures. I was that kid who was always carrying a camera with them, taking pictures of our friends, like whenever. And I've always been drawing. So since about 6 years old, just been in various after school art things, like the typical overachiever kid that parents try to bring up, but didn't work out in the end, I guess.
Do you do art now in your professional life outside of NFTs? Like, is it work related, or do you do something completely different than art?
I am actually blessed to say that I'm a housewife. I've been broken since my early 20s, so I haven't been able to work since then. And now that because I'm 35 now, so for the last, 13 years, I haven't been able to have a regular job because of my severe anxiety. I get anxiety attacks and everything that comes with it, everything that puts me down and makes me physically ill, basically. And art is just something I've always done, and it's been my little escape and my little kind of channeling way, my therapy, if we might call it that.
I mean, anything could be a form of therapy. It doesn't just have to be going to a psychologist or a psychiatrist and talking to them. You could just kind of anything that kind of escapes you. Like myself, I meditate on a daily basis, and that kind of levels me out, keeps me outside of myself, and gets my head kind of clear. And took a lot of practice to figure out like it's unbelievable how hard it is when you first start to just sit in silence. It's really crazy. Like just to think your goal is to do absolutely nothing, and it's one of the hardest things to do.
Dude, yes, I know. Gosh, this past, September, I had a major breakdown. Like I completely broke down, total anxiety attacks, couldn't do shit. And since then, I've been trying to meditate, and it is the biggest challenge of my life. I can just not sit still to start with. and I cannot just close my eyes and relax. It's like freaking impossible. But I'm trying to. But I know what you're talking about. My goodness.
Yeah, so I struggled with it for a long time, and then there's some very good YouTube channels that kind of get you like through guided meditation. There's one called Declutter the Mind that I use pretty much on a daily basis. Like I could do this by myself now where I could just sit there in silence, but it's a lot easier to kind of fall into it when you have a guide with you. So like he has videos to 5 minutes to 30 minutes and you could select the length that you want to do and it kind of like just coaches you right through. Yeah, what's up, Greg?
Yeah, I've kind of done some similar stuff about getting your head calm and everything. And I find when you're first starting out, using ambient sounds like the sounds of river or like, natural sounds and stuff like that, also like kind of get your head calmed down. You know what I mean? Get you out of your kind of your thinking.
It does, it helps. That's the same, I think, with people that suffer from insomnia. A lot of people use different types of raindrops or ocean waves and stuff like that. I think like the natural sounds of what we've heard since we're children kind of calm us and really do kind of settle us down a little bit. We're going into some Buddhist shit right here, so let me jump back into NFTs. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm going to bring you through a guided tour of some Buddhist monk stuff here. Welcome to Nepal, everybody. All right, so you have 3 collections that are posted up on OpenSea. Which of the 3 did you complete first?
So all of my collections were not completed when I started posting them. But the first one I started working on was actually my photography series, which is the last one I put on OpenSea. So, so it was quite a mess because I never intended to put up my photography for sale. That was just a bit too personal for me at the time when I got into the NFT space and was still figuring myself out. But Funky Heart, my anatomical hearts, was the first series that I felt comfortable with and confident and knew where it was going. So I guess we can put it that way.
So let's talk about the photography collection that you have. Was this something that you did? Because I read through, like, you got the camera in 2015 and then you started doing photography with it. But this particular collection, it's all self photos of yourself. It's pictures that you took of yourself, and then you kind of incorporate where you were in like glam and like makeup. I don't know if it's universe. I don't know how you would describe it, but you were kind of like in the makeup and design community, and then you decided to take pictures of yourself. Was this during COVID that you started doing this? Is this why you were doing photos of yourself because you couldn't find models?
I actually did a bit of professional modeling in 2013 to 2014, I think it was. And during that time, I just discovered that I enjoyed the process more than the actual outcome. So I started helping photographers with the whole editing bit. I started putting together the whole projects, basically, like everything from styling to makeup to how I wanted things to look. And and then in 2015, we had a major life change, me and my husband, where we decided that we were gonna help him pursue his dream job. And in doing so, we moved to the middle of Africa, and we moved to Zambia, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the savannah, with basically no decent anything. And during this time, he so kindly got me a camera. And because of that, and not having people around me that I really felt comfortable photographing, I started to turn the camera towards myself. And yeah, that's how that was born. And during this process, it all started with the whole, like, pretty glam makeup that you see on Instagram, but it very quickly got very boring for me. And I started to do, or challenge myself rather, to put myself outside of those norms and basically draw outside of the lines. And yeah, that's how that came about. And only recently that I started understanding why I was doing that. After talking in spaces for a few months, it all started to fall into place. And some things just take a bit longer for you to realize why you do them. You might not necessarily know why you do them when you start them, like a form of therapy, as we were talking. But yeah, it was a weird time for me, and that was my outlet.
I'm not sure how the scenery is in Zambia, where you were saying, but when I think of Africa, I think of like flatland and beautiful landscapes and animals. And I'm not sure if that's what it was like where you were, but did you kind of venture off and also do landscape photography, or was it kind of something that you just wanted to keep personal and do yourself?
We were literally in the wilderness. Like, we had elephants coming in and knocking down our gates. So I couldn't go out on my own. So that was out of the question. And, between scorpions and cobras and everything else that wants to kill you, it didn't work out that way. So I had to stay indoors pretty much most of the time. And it was also ridiculously hot. So, yeah.
I could just imagine you're like, honey, I'm gonna go take some pictures outside, and he's like, don't get trampled by an elephant. Like that's crazy. Like you were really like that close to the wildlife, huh?
Yeah, that was my everyday. Had to run out with my broom every now and then and chase off the baboons so that they wouldn't turn my bins into, rubble.
And I'm over here worrying about 2 inches of snow outside.
We're so spoiled in the first world.
So when you take pictures of yourself and like you're the subject of your photography, do you tend to be like hypercritical of the photography that you're taking since you're the focal piece of the actual photography? And do you end up like just doing a ton of deletes? I'm not using this one. This one sucks. I don't like how this one looks. The light's not right. I don't like how the makeup looks that I put on. Like, do you go through like your brain is just like scatterbrain when you're using yourself as the focal point of the photo, or is it kind of just like, yeah, this is good?
I think, let's see, I've been super critical of myself most of my life. And now recently, since I started this portrait thing, I learned to make sure everything is fine, everything is set up. Like, the photography bit itself, like snapping the pictures, is the shortest period. And I only do about 5 to 10 pictures of each set. But setting everything up, if it doesn't feel right, I just don't take pictures of it. So getting to that part of actually snapping it is like endgame. If I'm in front of the camera, then it's gonna be something that I'm gonna be sharing.
Now, the photography collection, it's small. It's only a 10-piece collection. Do you, in the future, are you going to add more to this, or are you kind of past doing the photography and moving elsewhere?
Oh, I'm absolutely gonna build on that, because those 10 pictures, they're from my archives. So they're pictures that I've taken between 2015 and last year. So all of that was just basically my favorite pieces that I wanted to share, that didn't get enough love on Instagram, because Instagram is a very limited platform, and they're just special to me, and I thought that it would be nice to just put them up there. But I will always take pictures. Whether I share them, that's a whole other thing.
So we're talking to Cynthia here. If people in the room here haven't followed her yet, please shoot her a follow. And she has multiple collections on OpenSea. Really good stuff. One of the fellow Polygon artists of our community. So please show some love and follow here on Twitter. What did you start on Polygon, or when you got into NFTs, were you on ETH first and then you kind of transitioned over?
I've always been on Polygon, funnily enough. Yeah. I didn't even consider ETH. Because I started just trading in crypto a few months before I even considered doing NFTs. And overall, I was just more curious about Polygon than anything else. So I just thought, you know what, this feels kind of new. Maybe it's going to go somewhere. Let's just try it out and see where it goes. And that's how my mentality with Polygon has been up until now.
Yeah, a lot of people that I speak to that are on Polygon currently have at least done one project, or at least made an attempt at a project on ETH prior to going on Polygon. And I don't know if it's because Polygon just hasn't been available as long on like OpenSea as ETH, or people just we kind of get like we get herded in like to believe that ETH is like the way to go and the only way to go about things. And I'm just curious when I talk to people if when they first started in NFTs, if they were given the impression that if you're not on Ethereum, you're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, no, I had this discussion with myself when I started, and at the end of it, I just came to the conclusion: if people want my things, they're gonna go through the effort. But I can also understand that some people are just put off by having to having to convert their currency. And I know it might seem silly for us that are in the Polygon space with wrapped ETH and this and that. But for some people, it's just one of those extra steps that they're just not willing to learn or willing to take. So I was fully aware of the possibility of losing out on sales because I was on Polygon. Because I do get messages from people who are on ETH and they do like nudge me and say, "Hey, so why not on ETH?"
No, I really feel like that is one of the cons of being on Polygon is the fact that we have to go through the whole wrapped ETH process. I think that's I think it's difficult for some people to grasp because when you look at it, right, people that aren't really sure about how NFTs work in the first place, they have to go and they have to make a wallet. And then they go and they make the wallet and then they think, all right, Polygon. So they'll go and they'll buy Polygon on like Coinbase. And then they'll try to buy your stuff with Polygon and then they can't buy it with Polygon. And then they're like, they get frustrated. I really do think it's like an issue we have, and like I really like the fact that people now like Beluga and Dave are just letting people buy straight up with Matic. I think that's like one of the coolest things that we're doing now. I think it's really going to bring a lot more attention because we're getting rid of that one step. That step no longer exists. You could just go do what you got to do, and 1, 2, 3, and then you have your NFT, and then we can move on. Hopefully, hopefully we kind of could adopt this across all platforms. I mean, Solana, it's the same thing. You buy Solana, you buy it with Solana, and 1, 2, 3, you're done. You're not like doing any of this other stuff. But we'll see. As time comes, we're still in the infancy of this stuff. So how has the Polygon community treated you since you started coming into spaces?
It has been, I mean, it's been quite overwhelming in the best way possible. Everyone is just so nice. It's such a welcoming community. I mean, just strictly talking about the Polygon community has been so supportive. And then we have just the community as a whole. I've been very involved in women's spaces, and everyone is just so nice. And it's so refreshing considering that I've been doing this for just about my whole life, like either photography or just drawing. But now I've developed my own style. But it's just the encouragement that you get here, the warmth, people are always there. There's always someone to help you with whatever thing you're not understanding. I mean, which is something that we have to do for each other, being so new in this space, in NFTs, and still ever evolving. But it's just been, yeah, it's just been great.
I know it's kind of like it shouldn't be said like this, but when I came into Twitter Spaces and started talking about NFTs to people, I was like, "What the hell is wrong with all these people? Everyone's so nice," and it just did because
Yes.
you're just so used to like every type of social media. There's so much like toxicity where people are just assholes and people are just acting like they're just trying to get like they're just trying to get like a reaction from you with things that they say. They might not even be trying to be mean. They just want to see you get upset. And I mean, we have it. Like there are like I could tell you, I could probably count the amount of trolls that came into like NFT rooms that I've been in on like two hands, and that would be it. So it just kind of shocked me at first when I started going into these spaces. I'm like, why is everyone so supportive? You're supposed to be a bunch of assholes to each other. It didn't click in my head right away.
I do agree. And I guess it's that early internet brain damage that we have, because in the beginning, in the dawn of the internet, because I've been on the internet for as long as I could have it in my home, I mean, you're always so on guard. I mean, you have your guard up about everything. You don't want to talk about your feelings. You don't want to talk about things that might come back to you one day. So, yeah, it's just been nice.
Are
Just
you
nice people.
are you doing your own spaces as well? Are you hosting or co-hosting?
I'm helping out Dave on Saturdays, but that's about it. Other than that, I just jump in and float about really in the spaces space.
Because we do need more women hosts in spaces, and like I know Vanessa's stepping up, and like I'd really like maybe the two of you could get together and maybe start a woman's space, because women, like, there's plenty of women in the NFT space, but you're very like you're still in the minority, and women make some really fantastic art, and I think you guys need to like get out there and like start speaking up, like tell them this isn't just a men's world, like we could do this shit too. And we do like a lot of hashtags like women in NFTs and stuff like that, because we want to bring awareness to everybody, and I'm not just like singling out women, but like there's plenty of like people in the African NFT space that need to have awareness brought to their art, that are fantastic artists. And it's kind of like everybody just wants to see a fucking gorilla or a monkey, as like a PFP and stuff like that. And I think we need to make some noise here and let people know, like, there's plenty of other art out here.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've put together a little group now in DMs with women who, whenever someone wants to make a space, to just give a shout in that group so that we can put something together. But for now, I'm just swamped. I've got so much that I'm still learning. I mean, I just finished setting up my website. I'm still trying to figure out this whole smart contract thing. So once things settle, I'm definitely gonna start picking that up. But I do agree with you. We do definitely need more representation in the space, and it's a male dominated space, as pretty much everything in tech has always been. So yeah, we're gonna start getting some ground here as well.
And the good thing is, like, everybody's supportive. You just need a few strong women to stand up and start voicing about it, and that's what we really need. Because I can tell you, like, there are Twitter spaces out there where it's like women in NFTs, and there'll be 100 people in there, and the minority is male, and there's maybe like 15 or 20 guys in there, and I'll sit in there and I'll listen to them, because I want to hear kind of like what they're going with as far as like their art, what their thoughts and grievances might be in the space, how we could help each other out. Because when it comes down to it, I just want everyone to win. I don't care if you're Polygon, ETH, Solana, Avalanche, Flow. I don't give a shit what chain you're on. I want this thing to get mass adopted as fast as possible, and I want us all to kind of like stick together and kind of like, we got to be that big huge chain that doesn't break. And yeah, that's how we do it. We stick together and we don't like shit on each other, and we just try to help the next person. Where was I here? So your one collection that you have, which I really like, the odd bits. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Of course, the odd bits, my little precious collection. It didn't get to grow as much as I wanted it to, but at the same time, I think that it's done its job, in the sense that it did what I wanted it to do, which was to bring just a little bit more attention, take a bit more space with not necessarily the perfectly chiseled bodies, because I love seeing perfectly sculpted bodies, but it just feels like we're back into traditional media at this point, where everyone is just beautiful. And I'm not saying that it's bad to be beautiful. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm just saying that there's more people out there when we just need more representation in general.
So, did you have plans at all to maybe partner with anybody or bring some attention with this particular collection for people that like suffer from body dysmorphia, people that have eating disorders, or maybe people that just have overall issues with their body and feel like they're being shamed, or maybe like talk to some groups and see maybe they could bring awareness through your NFTs or something of the sorts in order to kind of get this out there a little bit.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that lately because that's the reason why I made this collection, because I had major body dysmorphia. Well, still kind of mildly have. And it's just one of those things that, you just get damaged over time by consuming traditional media. And I don't know how to go about it, but it's definitely something I've been thinking about, because I just want everyone to have a chance, and I want everyone to be happy. It's taken me so many years to look at myself in a normal way and to realize, like, you got a great body in the sense that it works as it should now, finally, after so many years of being broken. But like, we just need to not take our bodies for granted, even if they don't look perfect.
I know mine doesn't, that's for sure. But you have Comards up here, and I know Comards does a lot of charity work and something like that. So I don't know, maybe you guys could maybe do some type of collaboration or something like that to bring awareness to it. Because I mean, people think body dysmorphia is only something that I think females suffer from. They think like a girl's fat and then they become bulimic or anorexic. But it also exists in men, and it exists in different ways too. It's not just, I'm too heavy and I need to lose weight. There are people like that have issues like bodybuilders. A lot of bodybuilders, for example, have a hard time accepting like they don't look big enough, and I think there's a stigma behind it because nobody thinks of that. Everybody sees a bodybuilder and they think, "Oh, that guy's in great shape. Look at him." But in his head, he thinks he looks horrible, and it's something that like there's not really any attention brought to it. So I don't know. Maybe you guys can work something out.
No, definitely. I mean, I love Commerce, who rugged now. But I'm definitely gonna reach out to him as well. But no, you're right. And I mean, it's just a whole traditional media stigma. We're meant to buy this whole freaking image of, what should be instead of what actually is. Because what actually is just not what they're portraying. I mean, I know very few people who fall into that little category of the perfect body. And it's not saying it in a bad way. I don't look at them as less. I look at them as humans. I mean, we're all humans, but it's just become such an ugly thing. And I just wanted to do something with representation, because I just felt like it's up to all of us to just try to battle our own little, not insecurities, but like literal brainwash that we've gone through.
So we're talking to Cynthia here, talking about some of her NFT collections and her journey into NFT art. If anybody in the box here has any questions for her, feel free to raise your hand. If you're down bottom and you have a question and you want to come up, request and I'll bring you up to the box and we could talk about what's going on. Which one of your collections that you have posted is your favorite? Is it the hearts?
Yeah, I would say that it is. And it's simply because it is what got me into NFTs. It's just one of those things that has grown very fond of. I mean, I've grown very fond of. And every time one of the pieces sell, I'm so gutted, which I shouldn't be, but they're just like a tiny piece of my soul, because I do put quite a bit of effort into them. Like, the end result might look simple, but my goodness, is it hours of listening to random music and just experimenting that it takes for me to get a line right or just the layers right. It's just my little baby.
So when you sold your first NFT, I forget who I asked the other day about this. It might have been Dave. What was that feeling like that you got when you sold your very first NFT? Did you feel like I kind of like equate it to like being a little kid on Christmas, like that overwhelming amount of joy that just hits you when something fantastic happens to you?
Well, the first NFT I sold was a very special sale for me. It was to a guy who had a lot of heart problems growing up. So he gave me his whole story, and I was just so moved and so touched by how he connected to my little heart that I just, I didn't think I love them, but I didn't really think that anyone would really make such a strong connection with something that I've created because I've always second guessed my everything that I do. But it was just such a beautiful first sale for me. And since then, I've just been riding on that high.
So, what's the backstory about the collection? Why is the heart the main focal point of this?
Let me tell you a little story. So my husband, who I love so very much, we had been married for 5 years when shit hit the fan and we had to move to Zambia. But just before that, I drew this heart. It was actually a physical drawing that I had made, and it was supposed to go on my lower arm to represent that I wear my heart on my sleeve, and him being, the representation of that, because he is the person that makes me a better person. He makes me want to pursue my dreams and just in general be better. And unfortunately, it just ended up gathering dust for all these years. And I've been lugging around a little folder with all sorts of drawings for years. And in September, when I had my little mental breakdown, I decided to go through that folder, and this one just stuck out to me because it's still something that I live by. I do strongly connect with the saying, I wear my heart on my sleeve. And that's it.
Did you ever end up getting a tattoo?
No. Well, I ended up getting a tattoo, but I ended up getting our wedding flowers from my bouquet instead of the heart. But I'm still considering getting the heart on the other sleeve, so we'll see.
When I was in, I guess, my late teens, early 20s, I went on like a tattoo spree and got like a large portion of my body tattooed. And now I haven't got a tattoo in over a decade, and I'm like, fuck that. That shit hurts. Like I have no idea how I went through all of like the needle work that I had done on my body, but I would never get a tattoo again. I know that probably sounds. I probably have like 40% of my body tattooed, and I would never get another tattoo in my life. I don't know. It's just it's funny how our brain changes and like thinks of things differently. Like I'm not into pain anymore. I'm not into that stuff. But going back to tattoos, I was talking to Comars about this. How can we implement tattoos into the blockchain? There has to be some way that we could do this. There has to be some sort of way, because that's the art everyone knows. Everyone has a tattoo. Like it's weird when I see somebody that doesn't have a tattoo. Like, everyone I know has at least one for the most part, except for like my mom and my dad didn't have them, but they were old and weird. Uh, I don't like understand like how we could get this somehow on a blockchain. But do you have any ideas? I throw this out to people a lot.
Oh, I mean, I'm still waiting for like tattoo artists to start doing their, one of ones, and then just put them up for sale, and then you just get that tattoo whenever you go and visit them. I mean, there's just so many simple things to do, but I don't know what more advanced things you could really do beyond that. It's just gonna have to be like a ticket for your tattoo that you're gonna get, I guess.
I guess you could purchase the NFT ahead of time and then have a redeemable NFT at a tattoo shop. Maybe that could work. Schlein buddies, what do you think?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I actually heard a tattoo artist say something similar to what you're saying. So basically, if you buy the NFT, he was gonna do a tour around, driving around basically, and anybody that wanted to redeem it, he would go visit and personally do the tattoo himself.
Yeah, I was thinking something along those lines too, but I don't know. There has to be something else that we could. Oh my god, imagine this is like fucking mind blowing stuff right here. Imagine if we could build a robotic arm that's tied into the computer that has a tattoo gun, and it could mimic the movements of a tattoo artist as he puts the thing on the blockchain. I'm going into like futuristic stuff here. What's up, Coin Laundry?
I think we could talk to Dark Side Dave about that since he's all in with the medical robots.
All right, well, we're kind of getting off topic here with some of this stuff that I'm talking about today. We're talking about tattoo robots, and we're talking about meditation and Nepal and all this other stuff. All right, let's get back on course here. How do you do, like, how do you decide the different types of backgrounds for your heart collection? And I noticed that a lot of them, maybe all of them, I'm looking through them right now. Is everything asymmetrical as far as the backgrounds go?
Most of it, yes. But generally speaking, I just put on music, listen, feel the vibes, and let it transfer to my to my drawing. It's just basically that. Just go with the flow.
No, I'm not sure if you really are inspired by like mandalas, because that's kind of what I got out of the backgrounds that you have on these art pieces, on your heart pieces, as far as when I look at them. Because I know when I was speaking of drug music, like a lot of his NFT art, it's all mandalas. So I don't know if that's something that you as well are kind of influenced by, and that's kind of how you pulled the background artwork for these pieces as well.
I love them, and I do really try my hardest not to start making mandalas. And it's not because for any particular reason. I'm just trying to limit myself to what or rather, I feel like you get more creative if you limit what you're allowed to use. Um, so, oh goodness, hold on. My brain is just not wanting to cooperate here. But yeah, if I like to limit myself in what I'm allowed to use in the sense of colors and shapes. And that's just, I think that breeds more creativity, even though it might end up looking very simple. I think it's just the whole challenge of figuring it out, how to have as little as possible to be as impactful as possible. But I do love mandalas. I just haven't wanted to dip my toe into those yet because I think that's gonna be a whole different thing.
I know you kind of have the concept of like this was a tattoo that you wanted, and you know how you wear your heart on your sleeve. But have you decided to maybe do something else is rather than a heart? Like we had a lady on here, Melissa, a couple months back, and she also does a heart collection, but now she's doing offshoots with like lungs and other types of like organs, kidneys and stuff like that. Is that something that you would consider, or are you just going to kind of stick with the heart route?
I'm gonna stick with the heart, but originally I did want to do brains, simply because the brain fascinates me, and I just wanted to pull on everything of different parts of the brain to make it up. But the project just got out of hand. It was just too much because I wanted to use like brain scans and all those things. But I mean, who knows? Maybe in the future. But for now, I'm sticking with the hearts. I'm very happy with them. I do have a collection that I'm working on that is a completely new fusion of all of my 3 collections. So we'll have to see how that goes. But for now, the hearts are my happy place.
It says on OpenSea that it's a 25-piece collection, but then you had a 50-piece holiday themed collection. Now, I don't see any holiday hearts on here. Why don't I see holiday hearts? And how are you basing hearts around a holiday? Was it like a Santa Claus beard on a heart?
Oh, it should be there. I think it's the first one. It's a red heart with a blue background and snowing. It should be, but I
Okay,
might
yeah,
be wrong.
I see it. I was thinking you're gonna have like Easter bunny hearts and Santa Claus hearts and stuff like that.
No, I just decided to do that one specifically as a little thank you to the NFT community, because there were so many people who were so just wonderful to me, and I was like, I need to do something for them, and I just drew that up for them. But that's the only one that's multiple copies. Everything else is one of ones.
Yeah, I see it right now. It has actually snow on the top valves. That's pretty cool. I like it. You have one on here where the heart is completely gray. Now, have you maybe thought of doing any type of just black and white and maybe gray wash, or are colors kind of something that um, distinguishes your art, where you kind of want it to pop with bright and fancy colors?
I have actually not even thought about grayscale. I'm very big into color. I love my colors because in my everyday life, I'm a very basic, like typical Scandinavian type of person, minimalist. So you won't see many colors in my house, but I go nuts in my art. So to compensate.
So, are you planning on in the future doing any other sorts of maybe like mediums to showcase your NFTs, like maybe like a large scale generative project, or maybe like AI art? I really like AI art. I think it's something that I might be able to do, and because the computer is doing most of the work and I'm not really too artistic. So anything ever kind of like pop into your head that maybe you want to try this?
I'm probably I'm not gonna do AI because I think there's so many wonderfully talented AI artists right now that just need the spotlight. Um, and personally, I'm more of the drawing type of person. It's just my funnel for my brain to just unload everything. But I am probably gonna be doing some physical prints and hand-drawn hearts sometime in the future. I'm just dabbling now into just seeing how they turn out. I've ordered a few, and we'll see how that goes. But other than that, I did want to possibly try 3D, but that's a whole other thing to learn.
Do you have any plans to maybe incorporate uh, some sort of utility in your, maybe not necessarily your hearts, but maybe one of your other collections, like where if somebody buys an NFT, you would send them a physical copy of the piece as well that they could hang at their house?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's the goal with Funky Hearts. Eventually, I do want to have physical prints because originally the whole idea of the hearts was to have them poster size. But then I think about myself, and I'm a big collector of limited edition prints. I actually need more walls in my house because I cannot put up everything that I've collected over the years. So I thought, you know what, I need to give people the option to have either a small one or a big one. So I'm still trying to figure out the whole logistics of it, but that is definitely endgame or the what that is going to be turning into.
What's been the hardest thing that you faced so far getting into NFTs?
I guess talking about my projects, that's probably been the most difficult thing. I can sit and talk about random bullshit all day, every day, but speaking about things that I've created that have a message behind it, especially my photography, for example, which came was born from a very isolated period in my time. I don't necessarily like to talk about it when I'm doing like chill spaces or so because it is so intimate. But that's been it. Just talking about myself and my projects have probably been the most challenging thing. Everything else comes naturally to me when it comes to the art and also learning about the IT bit or all the technical stuff.
Kind of with you. I could talk about random stuff all day long, and it doesn't even faze me. But when it comes to talking about something that I've done myself and like I really should be proud of, like a normal person would be proud of, like an accomplishment, I I get kind of like embarrassed and I just don't want to talk about it. And it's it's kind of fucked up like the way it works, but like I really don't like talking about myself. I could compliment people all day long and like it won't bother me, but as soon as somebody says something nice about me, I kind of like turtle up and I really don't want to hear it and I try to change the subject rather quickly. So I don't know if like you're kind of in the same boat with things like that, but that's kind of like how I operate.
No, pretty much the same. Oh goodness.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, you know. Nobody wants to. Well, I can't speak for everybody. Myself, I'm not good with taking compliments. I don't know why. must be something that happened to me when I was little, or who the hell knows, that kind of just stuck with me, where I kind of get shy and don't want to really talk about it. Have you decided that you were going to do any collaborations with any other Polygon artists in the near future, or are you currently working with any of them currently?
Actually, I have not even had the chance to think about that. I've been so busy just figuring myself out. But it's definitely something I'm open to. I am currently making a few pieces for Creative Owls, just for the fun of it. Just fusing our owls with my funky hearts, or his owls rather, not ours. But other than that, I haven't really had a time or a chance yet to unwind and actually look around to see what would go well with my own style. It's just been busy since I got in.
Did you join his metaverse summit that he had in January? I think it was the 22nd.
Yes, I was part of that,
That
and
was
that was so fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thought that was great. My computer was a little kind of funky when I was navigating through. It took me a minute to kind of get the controls down as far as like navigating through, but that was really awesome. And I really dug the fact that it felt like you were in an actual art gallery. So like you could kind of hear people talking in the distance, but you didn't really know what they were saying until you kind of like approached them, and then the conversation got louder. And I just thought that was so badass. Like it kind of gave you like the real feel, like I'm actually in a gallery right now.
Yeah, no, it was actually quite great. I mean, we were testing out spatial servers capacity, so it kept on crashing for me every now and then. But other than that, being the introvert that I am, I was just hiding out in a corner with someone else, a fellow introvert, and having just chats. But it was still nice to socialize, even though it was, in the comfort of our own homes.
Yeah, I couldn't tell who anybody was. I guess my computer was loading really slow until I heard guitar, and I was like, "Oh, that's Sleepy Pirate," and I ran over and I found him, and I just kind of stood next to Sleepy Pirate for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm really excited about where all of this is going, because it's always been one of those things for myself, as I've always aspired to be considered an artist. And up until now, the only way you could be seen as an artist was to be shown in a proper art gallery with credentials and this and that. And now, we just have all this power, and we can just do whatever the hell we want and display it the way that we want. We're our own curators, our own advertisement team, and just everything. So I'm just really excited for where all of this is going.
So we're talking to Cynthia. If you've just joined, please send her a follow here on Twitter. Check out the links of her artwork in her bio. Great Polygon artist, really important part of our community. Just show some love and give her a follow. Now, how do you feel about virtual galleries? Do you have, or are you planning on putting any of your art into any virtual galleries? I know like On Cyber has it, and there's a couple other places that offer it, and I don't think it costs you any commission to just list your art virtually. And I think it's kind of like a little cool like addition that you could have to your link tree and stuff like that.
Yeah, I use On Cyber, and I also use Spatial, and I think they're great. I mean, once we have proper integration where people can actually click on the picture and be led to wherever it is that they're marketed. Because for now, on what is it called? On Cyber has that, but it still feels a little bit like it's in its infancy. But it has great potential. I'm very excited about where all of this is going, because again, as I was saying, with being a traditional artist, you're kind of limited as well. I mean, yeah, sure, you're acknowledged as an artist, but generally speaking, you're not going to have people coming from all over the world to look at your art like you can do here now with these virtual galleries. You just shoot out your link, and anyone from freaking in any corner of the world can have a look, and maybe they like it and they can buy it. It's just so freeing. Um, yeah, it's just great.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible how, I've said in the past, when people wanted to be like a staple in a specific thing, they had to move to like major cities. Paris, you had to move to New York City, you had to move to Los Angeles, you had to move to London, and that's where you would have to start. And I kind of think that's like where the term starving artist came from. Like people are moving to these metropolitan areas where it's already hard to begin with to sell your pieces of art, and then you're just trying to make it and you're kind of just scraping to get by in hopes that you're going to break through. And now with the metaverse, you could live anywhere in the world and you could just blow up. Like you could live like where Greg is in Idaho, or you could live in like the Northwest Territory in Canada and have like shitty internet, but you could still go and like, you know, put your art online and make a living from your house and not have to worry about the thing that I'm most excited for are this is going to just further education for people. I'm 100% convinced that metaverse and NFT art is going to allow people in other areas who would have to stop their, secondary education and going into university because they have to go out into the workforce to help their family get by in countries like where you were in Africa or Thailand or Cambodia, where these people have to drop out of school when they're 10 and they have to start working in factories just so they could have electricity in their house. Now they could go and they could sell one piece of art and their family's taken care of for that month, and they could go and they could continue their education. And people are gonna get smarter because of NFTs in the long run. It's gonna help everybody out, and I'm fucking stoked for it because we need a lot more smarter people in this world. And that's how we're gonna break through into other technologies. Like we're gonna end up getting the cure for cancer because there's probably some little kid sitting in like Laos that's super smart, but he can't like further his education and become a doctor to cure something. Instead, he's out like working in rice paddy fields because his family's starving to death. This could change that shit, and that's what I'm excited for with NFTs. Everybody has a fair chance now.
No, absolutely, and I do really agree with that, and that's what broke my heart when OpenSea made that change the other day. It's when you've seen firsthand how people live in the third world, like across from the street of where you're living, like people who can't afford electricity, who can maybe afford an hour a day electricity, and having kids who they need to send to school. And now you have this magical thing that is on the internet that you can do as long as you have a phone, you have a little bit of internet, you can go to a freaking internet cafe and leech their little bit of Wi-Fi. But anyone can do it now from anywhere in the world, and it's just inspiring, and it's just so beautiful. We're getting to see art from all over the world that we would never have been able to see before. And yeah, I was just really upset the other day when that thing happened because it just got me to thinking about those people, because me myself, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna find another way to do what I do. Like I wouldn't have suffered. Like it's just the other people.
Yeah, I know, he's not here, but I know he wouldn't mind me talking about it. Sleepy Pirate was really upset to the point where he was in tears when it happened. And, we had him on here and we were talking to him on an AMA, and he basically said, like, I'm an engineer in my country, in Turkey. And he said, my monthly salary as an engineer, if I sell 3 NFTs, I make up my monthly salary as an engineer. Like somebody that like an advanced work, super intelligent guy is getting paid like that's his salary versus selling 3 NFTs. And then he shared a lot of like personal stuff with us, which I know he wouldn't mind like repeating and stuff. So that's why I say it. But I mean, it goes like that for a lot of people, and that's like you were saying, that's who it's really going to affect. You're living in the UK, I'm living right outside New York City. We're going to be okay, but what about those people that are depending on it? What about the kids in the Philippines, that are having a hard time getting by and stuff like that? It sucks. So how did what was running through your head when you heard that? Were you like, what am I going to do as far as my art? Where am I going to host it? Did you feel like I just have to figure something new out?
Yeah, I actually that day I took everything off sale on OpenSea because I was just frankly pissed. I still don't like the idea of having my things sell on OpenSea because of what they did. And I don't like giving my money or anyone else's money to a company that's just, look, I can go on a tangent here, but I'm going to keep it short. I just don't like when the big man does shit like this. And it just goes against everything that I believe in, everything that I grew up believing in. And coming from a very political family and upbringing, it's my family's background. I mean, my parents grew up in a country where they weren't allowed to share art. They weren't allowed to play certain types of music. And it's just something that's become very near and dear to my heart. And when that happened, I was just angry. And I wanted to find a new platform immediately. Because for me, I'm going to be fine if I take my stuff off the market for a few months until I figure things out. But, it's those people that we've been talking about that just made me upset. But personally, I have started posting things on another platform, which is called Official NFT. It's a strictly Matic platform. And so nothing of this whole wrapped ETH nonsense. And it's a brand new platform. They only have a handful of artists on there, and I just wanted to possibly help them grow as well. But I'm always open to finding new places that, support the creators and aren't greedy or lazy, or, they actually they just take things on board. It's just, yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that because I'm getting upset now.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, it messed with a lot of people's heads as far as it's not even the fact that the policy was changed, right? I don't really necessarily, because things have to progress in order for things to change or get better or get worse. So there's always going to be sorts of change. It's not so much that that's what their decision was. It was the amount of time that they gave people to prepare for it. I thought was completely fucked up. Where you wake up in the morning, you get this message. Guess what? You're screwed. That's not the right way to go about it. They could have said something like, as of March 1st, we're giving you a little bit of lead time. So, this is how we're going to operate. And I don't think it would have been nearly as much of like a blow up as it happened. But we're opening up an NFT marketplace, so good for us. And fuck OpenSea. That's pretty much what I say about that. So we're getting close to the top of the hour. Ask you a few more questions before we wrap up. So what so far since you got into NFTs has been the biggest success for you? Whether it's a sale or, as you were saying earlier, just being able to talk about your work, or maybe something that you were proud of, maybe hosting a Twitter space and helping somebody out. What's the thing that kind of sticks out to you the most that you hold near and dear to your heart?
Oh my gosh, all of the above. I think, yeah, it's just been great. I keep saying this every time anyone asks me about NFTs. I'm like, it's been great, but it has. It's just so freeing. Because we're not like, we can do whatever we want, and this has been something that I've been looking for so long. And up until now, I just haven't been able to find something that felt right for me in the way that I share my art. Because again, as I was mentioning, I don't like the idea of galleries. And to start with, I don't even think I would be allowed to show my stuff in galleries because no one would be interested there. But it's just nice to be your own curator. You get the time to sort out things the way that you want them to be. And you're the one that decides how you want to be presented in the world, unlike having a manager or stuff like that. Because the same thing when I was modeling and I had an agent, it was like they decide what kind of work you're going to do. You don't get to decide for yourself. Like, you can turn things down, but they're going to put you in a box where you have no way of breaking out of. So now that, as you can see, I got 3 collections. I refuse to stay in a box. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And it's just freeing. The biggest win is just having creative freedom.
Yeah, I think that's nice. You know, I always said that the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life was when I quit my job years ago and I promised myself that I was never going to punch a time clock again. And I just kind of went off and started doing my own thing and didn't really have to worry about restrictions. And I could kind of do things the way I wanted to do in order to kind of live my life and earn a living. And my life, as far as my mental health, my overall um, feelings about myself have drastically improved. And I think that's what NFTs are creating for people. They're giving people that sort of freedom where they can kind of do what they want to do when they want to do it and express themselves however they want to express themselves. And it's beautiful. So, my last question for you before we wrap up, Cynthia, where do you see yourself a year from now in the NFT space? What type of projects do you maybe have on the horizon? And where are we going to end up seeing you?
Oh goodness, that's such a difficult question. And I've been getting it a lot lately, and I always I don't know. This has been such a wild ride. I feel like I've made such great progress since I started in November, just finding myself. And hopefully I just continue on that. I just want to carry on developing myself as an artist, see where this takes me, and just find that, I don't know, I just want to find that sweet spot between success and also just confidence in what I do. And at the same time, not feel the pressure of what's trendy. Because I can see quite a few people every now and then in comments saying, like, oh, drawing this because they saw that that was selling. And I really hope that I never fall into that pit, because it's just a dangerous little thing to fall into. And I see a lot of very talented artists jumping on the trends, and it doesn't always breed creativity. So we'll see. I just want to carry on with the freedom that I currently have, and hopefully figure out this whole printing thing and getting that rolling. But I do have a project that I'm working on right now that I'm hopefully gonna be dropping 2 pieces of tomorrow, which is the fusion of all 3 of my collections. So yeah, I'm just still growing.
Well, when you do drop them, shoot me a DM and I'll retweet it out for you and I'll try to get some more eyes on it for you.
Thank you. I'll do that.
So I just want to thank you for taking an hour out of your day and talking to us on a Sunday. Really, really nice talking to you, Cynthia. It was a very pleasant conversation. We had some good laughs, and we talked about some serious stuff too that I think is important. Addressing things and then laughing about things. It's a healthy way to approach your life. So thank you so much for stopping by, talking to the community. I really do love your artwork. I think your collections are fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're dropping tomorrow. Really excited for it. Tomorrow here we're gonna have Vanessa's gonna be on with us, or if you look in the box here, Van CM. She'll be on with us tomorrow. Really looking forward to supporting another woman in the NFT world. Going to be really fun. Cynthia, thank you once again. Don't be a stranger. Make sure to embarrass me a little bit and tell me that you listen to my
I was just gonna say.
while you're eating breakfast in the morning, and you'll have your very own to play back tomorrow morning for breakfast.
Yes, exactly. I'll be listening out for your future spaces with my breakfast, so don't you worry. I'll remind you every now and then.
How embarrassing. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. I hope you all have a great rest of your Sunday. Cynthia, thanks again for coming out. Don't be a stranger. Vanessa, I'll see you tomorrow. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your day.